Hello. Today we have the honor of having Carl Crosswhite join us. Carl is a certified project management professional with over 20 years experience. His career in the field of portfolio, program, and project management includes work in a variety of industries, including aerospace, IT, telecommunications, and mortgage banking. His focus has been the establishment of program and project management organizations and the effective application of project management principles to product development life cycles. Hi, Carl, and thank you for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
Glad to be here.
So we're going to discuss program management today. And my first question is, how do you think program management has changed over the last 5 years?
I think to preface these kind of questions, you got to, there's a number of factors. Where, program management in the real world is different almost everywhere you go. Different organizations, different industries define it differently. So if I go back to something like aerospace, where it's been kind of embedded for decades, I don't see it having changed much other than the tools that we have to do it with. In emerging industries, IT, for strictly IT purposes, things like healthcare organizations, things like that, I think they're still trying to find their way with what they need program management to be for them. So it's different to a degree almost anywhere you look.
Interesting. So evolving for those industries.
I think it's evolving a lot. I think it's taking on different forms in different places. I don't think the majority of places necessarily define it the way a textbook would.
Okay. So in your experience, who is typically accountable for ensuring that program deliverables align with the business goals and objectives?
Well, I think one of the key roles for the program manager is that interface with the kind of the key stakeholder, the sponsor. If you're a program manager within, say, a product line division in a large company, you're doing interface with the VP of that division, and it's your job to translate their strategic long-term plan into shorter-term program plans, and then working that down to the tactical implementation at the project level.
Okay. So how do you set expectations with project managers as a program manager?
I think it's just kind of constant communication. What's been effective for me personally is, as a program manager, you're developing a program team, just like as a project manager, you're developing a project team. So establishing a relationship, if you're the program manager, establishing a relationship with the project managers that are supporting you, making sure that you're communicating constantly, that you don't leave them in the dark on anything, that you're listening to their concerns and questions.
Okay, great. And then how do you ensure that project teams understand how they fit within the overall program?
Kind of a follow-on to the previous answer. It's that constant communication. It's looking at the project plans. Are they coming together in a way that supports the program plan? Is the communication of status flowing upward, and is the communication of direction flowing downward? And all the typical communication skill sets, active listening, et cetera, et cetera. Are you hearing what they're saying, kind of thing? So
a lot of communication.
A lot of communication.
Right. Okay. And then how do you minimize the dependencies between the projects within the program?
Well, it all kind of depends on which set of dependencies we're talking about. If we're talking about it in the sense of a network diagram where I have a predecessor-successor relationship between projects, I try to minimize that if you can, but sometimes it's inevitable, and you just have to make sure that we're tracking it. I think other dependencies, one of the things that kind of falls on the program manager is dependencies that really don't lie within any project. It's kind of the blank space between projects is the program manager making sure that things are aligned in there. And I think that's a very important job for the program manager.
Okay. So how important do you think programs are in the IT industry?
Again, and certainly you do, if you go back to your PMBOK and look in almost every knowledge area process, there's a thing called enterprise environmental factors. And so every enterprise lives in a different environment. Is this a big company with years and years of experience? Is this a brand new startup company? What are the regulatory requirements on your industry? All these different things are factors in that. You just have to kind of respond to that and adjust.
Okay. Thank you so much, Carl. It was great to have you here.
No problem.